Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 1,000 subscriber live stream for Palestine Bookshelf. So I'm a little dressed up. It wasn't necessarily for today's live stream. I had something to do ahead of time, so I was dressed for that. I thought I might as well continue on the subscriber count. Right before we only had, I want to say 996. We were close, but I just checked prior to the stream, and we are at 1,001. So we had reached that number some time ago on Substack, and we are now at that number on YouTube as well. So thank you, those of you who have become subscribers and helped to get us to that level. It's one part of the monetization of the channel. First, we have to get 1,000 subscribers. Then we have to have 4,000 watch hours. We are close to 2,000 watch hours, so we're about halfway there. And I think that's pretty good for being about 7 months into this version of the project. So let me just start by saying thank you to everybody for your support and for helping us towards our eventual goal, monetizing this channel, and then using the monetization to help pay for the the goal of this channel, which is to contribute to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So um, thank you for helping with that. And as I've said before, one of the ways that you can help is by giving, by watching as many hours as you can. That helps get us to where we need to be. All right. So I thought today what I would do is talk about some of the reasons that we're here. So how did we get to 1,000 subscribers? Where did this project come from? Some of you have been here from the beginning, from when I started my videos on Palestine in October of 2023 on my main channel, the Stephen Heiner channel. And some of you have just come along in the last couple of weeks. So to just try to put together a narrative and a touch point, I have talked about some of this before, but it's 1,000 subscriber video. So it's as good a time as any to talk about it. So the project originally started in some way when I visited Palestine and Israel in May of 2023. It was a planned visit for some time, and I was visiting other countries in the region. I had gone to Cyprus, which is occupied, part of it is occupied by Turkey. I went to Jordan, and I wanted to see different parts of the Holy Land as well. So that's what I was doing in Israel and Palestine, particularly Jerusalem. That's where I was based during my time there. And as I was there, I was studying. I was reading Ilan Pape's book at the time. I was reading John Mearsheimer's book at the time, just being shocked at what I was reading. I was getting in conversations with IDF soldiers and with Jews and with Palestinians, and just trying to get a sense of what was going on. I got to visit settlements. I got to visit occupied areas. I got to go down to the Erez crossing at Gaza and talk to some of the Palestinians there on the border. So I had a very wonderful opportunity in May of 2023 to really dig into an experience of visiting the Holy Land. I got to travel on the apartheid roads, and I came back, I think, thinking there's not really a solution to this. I had read Ilan Pape's book, but I felt a sense of helplessness, I think, coming out of that visit, that things are what they are and there's nothing that can be done to really dislodge this or to change the direction of travel. October the 7th happens. A number of things are being said. I'm frustrated at what the mainstream media is reporting. And so I, in the spirit of what I normally do in my book review channel, I just review books, and I pulled a book that I had read some time before, but I had not done a review of, which was The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine by Ilan Pape. And that review, if you go back to the Stephen Heiner channel, it's funny. I look back on that review now. I don't like it very much. There are a number of things I would have said differently, but it captured, I think, some of my indignation and some of my frustration at the time. So perhaps that was what drove it. But that video helped. That video took off. So if you understand what my channel was prior to that time, it would be a big deal if I got 300 views on one of my book review videos. And this one got 160,000. And so obviously that created interest for other reviews I did. I think the Israel Lobby by John Mearsheimer got 30,000 views. So those two videos helped monetize that channel. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to continue to do more work on Palestine because clearly people are interested in that and they're not interested in literature or any of the other nonfiction books I was reviewing at the time. So I carried that on for about a year, but about 9 months in, I realized I I wanted to continue to study this issue, but I couldn't do it on my main channel because Palestinian issues need their own forum. They shouldn't be mixed in with Jane Austen and Tim Marshall and The Fourth Turning or Tim Ferriss and the 4 Hour Work Week. So that channel had been established with its own identity since 2020, and I wanted to return the channel to that. And I wanted to create something brand new that was dedicated to the Palestinians and would have a Palestinian focus, and it wouldn't be conflated. So are people giving me money for Stephen Heiner or are they giving me money for the Palestinians? And by creating a separate channel, there would be no confusion. So everything that goes into this channel is 100% dedicated to specifically our charity is the PCRF, the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. So medical care for Palestinian children, that is our specific cause. And that way we are leveraging the tools of the establishment in behalf of the Palestinians. And that would also allow my Stephen Heiner channel to continue to take its own trajectory. And if people wanted to contribute to that channel, they could, but they wouldn't get confused with what was going on with the Palestinians. So it was a tough decision for me insofar as I knew that the momentum couldn't carry over. And I started to see it even as I was preparing to launch. This channel, Palestine Bookshelf, launched on October the 7th, 2024. That was not an arbitrary date. I picked that date intentionally. And we didn't carry over a large number of our subscribers. So the Stephen Heiner channel at that time had 7,500 subscribers. And I thought, okay, well, most people have come here because of Palestine. I expected many of them to come over. That was not the case. So up until that point, my last review on Palestine on the Stephen Heiner channel had thousands of views. And there's only a few on Palestine Bookshelf that have that many views. So I knew that I was stopping the momentum on the Stephen Heiner channel like into a brick wall. And I was starting Palestine Bookshelf from a stop. So there, I wasn't able to leverage too much of that momentum. Yes, we did bring over some subscribers, and perhaps it wasn't exactly a standing start, maybe a little bit of a walking start, but I knew I had to start over. What's heartening now as we hit this 1,000 subscribers mark about 7 months in effectively to this new version of the project, what I'm heartened by is that we're really starting to get some momentum in some ways. Particularly, I'm very surprised on Substack. So Substack is its own thing, I think, driven mostly by writing, but they've started to become a bit of a social media engine of sorts. So you can have short notes, you can do videos, you can do podcasts. So I think it started with writing, but it has expanded to a lot of things. So our content does well on Substack. And at the moment, there are more Substack subscribers than there are YouTube subscribers. Obviously, the content is still primarily going to come out on YouTube, but I'm continuing to add the back catalog to Substack, and that's continuing to attract a lot of new people over there. So I think over time, Substack may lead this channel, but we'll see how it goes. So that should take you from how it started and to now how it's going. We're continuing to grow, and everything is focused on Palestine Bookshelf. Everything on Palestine Bookshelf is focused on our monetization goal. And that means a really tough pace for me as well. 1 live stream a week, 1 new video a week, and 4 to 5 shorts per week. And what that allows us to do is to keep up that momentum, keep up the view count. And I've said this before, but if you hadn't heard me say it, my goal is to get to 100 books reviewed or monetization for the channel, whichever comes first. And once that happens, I'm going to slow down. I'm not going to stop. But what I'm currently doing is unsustainable vis-a-vis the rest of my work life. So I have many other projects that I work on, actually. And at the moment, Palestine Bookshelf is over indexed from the time I have allocated, but I am willing to do that. And God has given me strength of body and mind to work beyond my capacity for a certain amount of time. So I'm going to take advantage of that until I can't. But I feel that that is going to come soon enough. So I feel I will hit 100 books or the channel will be monetized soon enough. And I'll be able to then turn this into a long-term project. Probably instead of a review and a stream every week, it might be alternating. So a review one week, a live stream another, a review one week, a live stream other, and still continue to have shorts the whole time. But that's probably more sustainable for me in the long term. And this is a long-term project. This isn't just something I'm going to do for a couple of years. There's plenty of books on Palestine. There's plenty more to do. But in the beginning, you have to work harder to get the channel to where it needs to be. And that's what I'm doing now. I really want to pay special tribute to the people who are paying subscribers on Substack, paying subscribers on Patreon, paying members of YouTube and the YouTube members. My graphic designers, because I can't do all this stuff myself. So things like creating thumbnails, while a thumbnail be fairly simple to do, creating shorts fairly simple to do, it's just not something I have time for given everything else that I need to do. So I rely on help, and those contributions you have help to pay the salary of those people. And over time, as the monetization creeps up, that pay will easily be handled, and then that extra money can be sent to the PCRF. So I have a vision for it, and I've done the maths behind it, and I think it's pretty clear as to where it'll go, but time will tell. And it's in God's hands anyway. So any project that you do in life is in God's hands, and this is just another one of them. So with that spiel said, I will take any questions you might have. And if you're watching this afterwards, after the stream has ended, feel free to put questions in the comments. I try to read every comment. I try to respond whenever it's appropriate. So don't feel like you're missing out if you weren't on the stream. Please put your questions and comments in, and I will try to follow up with them then. Any questions, comments, thoughts about the milestone, 1,000 subs, about this project, about books that you're interested in? I'll tell you, give you a preview of one. This book I'm going to review next week. It's brand new. It hasn't come out in the United States yet. It was released in England, in the United Kingdom last month. And so I ordered it from the United Kingdom. I don't live in the United Kingdom, so I had to get it delivered to where I am. And it's along the lines of a book we've already actually reviewed before, which is Gaza Writes Back, edited by Rafat al-Alarir. And he was an English teacher, and he got a literature teacher, and he was able to encourage many young people in Gaza to write about their stories. And I reviewed the volume of that he collected together. He also has another one called Gaza Unsilenced, and I'll be reviewing that later this year. So We Are Not Numbers actually has a beautiful tribute to Dr. al-Alarir in the beginning of the text. So this anthology is dedicated to Rafat al-Alarir, the teacher, author, mentor, and friend who guided so many of Gaza's students and future leaders. And there were 4 people who contributed to this volume who were killed in November 2024 when this was being edited. So this is coming soon. We are Not Numbers, and other stuff as well. I'm looking around as to what someone had sent me. Someone actually pulled this off the wish list. I'm always telling you to get stuff off the wish list, and someone bought this off the wish list for me, Lobbying for Zionism by Ilan Pappé. The challenge is it's 600 pages. And as you know, on this channel, we're not afraid of 600 pages. It's just that layering it into my workflow, I have to make sure that I'm picking books that make sense in that time slot. So I will definitely be reviewing this before July 1st, but I don't know exactly when. If I'm looking at the schedule, it's just somewhat adjusting. So Antonio De La Rosa, I've liked all the work you've done for this channel. I don't think I've been able to come to know many of these things by my own. Antonio, that's the reason we do this. I know that most people don't have time to read, and even if they do have time to read, they wouldn't necessarily have the funds to buy the books or the time to read the books. So I happen to make the time to do the reading, and I'm the classic scholar from the Canterbury Tales. The money the money I earn often goes towards books. So I'm happy to be able to do that. And keep in mind, I'm learning along with you all. So as I'm presenting the material, I'm having to learn it and contextualize it with everything else that has happened beforehand. So you're part of the process as well. And the feedback I get from you all and the suggestions I get from you all are always appreciated. If you're just coming onto the stream, please hit the like button. That sends out a signal via YouTube's algorithm to everyone else who's a subscriber of the channel to remind them there's a live stream going on. So if you could take a moment to do that, it's free and it's an easy way to support the channel. I think the other thing I've mentioned before is it can be a bit of a burden to read this, a mental burden. But if the Palestinians are willing to carry the burden of what they're dealing with, then it's a small ask for us to try to deal with what's difficult to read. I really think that that's a small price to pay. We're not having to deal with our water being cut off, being starved to death. The worst thing that we can deal with is how difficult it is to read about their lives. And so, difficult as it is, it's important for us to do it. And I would encourage those of you who are also feeling challenged by what you read to just try to push through it. The Palestinians are pushing through it. They should serve as your inspiration, and that should allow you to deal with your difficulties as well. Thank you for the time and effort you put in, and thank you, Sobe, for your support. Again, this is a group effort, right? I'm doing some of the work, but you are also subscribing, you're sharing the videos, you're liking, you're watching the back videos. So this achievement's shared by all of us. And congratulations for you all as well for helping to create the channel and to bring it to where it is now. I'm thinking about the logo that we put together, and I'm generally pretty happy with it. It's something that pays tribute to the national flag. It pays tribute to the entire shape of Palestine. It pays tribute to my Christianity. There's a cross where Jerusalem is on the map. And it also shows the different variety of authors we read. We read Israeli authors, we read Palestinian authors, we read American authors. Anyone who has something substantive to say that doesn't have APAC paying their bills. That's effectively what we read. I do think there is time and space to read the quote unquote other side. I have a lot of that work. One of the things I'm slowly working through is The Revolt by Menachem Begin, this horrible creature. And it's important to know what they have to say too. If you don't know your enemy, you can't defeat your enemy. So that means that you have to read the enemy as well. And so it is at times funny and frustrating to read people like Begin. And I have more. I don't have them right at hand, but there's other people that I'm reading as well that will frustrate. Right next to Begin, I actually have Yahya Sinwar's book, which is a fictional. What do you say? Non-fiction fiction. He is telling the story. It's a fictional story, but it's based in a lot of facts. Let me put it that way. If you've read A Journal of the Plague Year by Daniel Defoe, it has the same sort of construct. It's a fictional story, but based on evidence of the time. So the fact that this, let's say, John Smith doesn't exist is irrelevant. A John Smith who's gone through those experiences could exist, or in this case, potentially, whatever the name of the character is. So I'm working through that. He smuggled that text out of jail. So I think that is what else is inspired about reading that book, is that I'm reading something that was smuggled out of an Israeli prison. So those will be coming in the future as well. There's a lot I have to do before summer. I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling during the summer, which means I won't be doing my regular reviews. I'll just be doing live streams. But that means I've got to record all of the videos ahead of time before I travel this summer. So I've got a lot of work to do over the next 8 weeks. to get ready for that, which means I'll be doing double review duty. You just won't see those other reviews until the summertime. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? As I say, make sure to hit like on the video. Make sure to leave comments or questions even after the stream's over so I can answer them. Thank you for your support. Thank you for getting us to this first step in the journey. There's still a long way to go, but it is a milestone that we should commemorate 1,000 subscribers. Many YouTube channels don't get to 1,000 subscribers. My main Steven Heiner channel is moving towards 10,000 subscribers, and I'm told that that's a certain very small percentage of YouTube channels. So that our goal is to get Palestine Bookshelf to 10,000 subscribers as well, and then who knows from there. But we're doing all the right things. We're reading relevant content. We're focused on a niche, and we're delivering content every day. So we're doing the things that we're supposed to do as far as YouTube goes. Obviously, this content is suppressed in certain ways. I know that, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't push forward. So we do what we can, the way that we can, with the people who are willing to listen, and that's all we can control. We can't control the outcomes. We can only control the inputs, and that's what God asks of us. I think that's what our fellow man asks of us, and that's what we should be responsible for. All right, everybody, thank you for taking the time to stop by, and remember to hit like and subscribe. Share this with someone who may benefit from Palestine Bookshelf. And if you haven't subscribed over at Substack, please do that. I write articles over there, usually one article a month. They don't get published here. I do share them perhaps in the community tab here on YouTube. But if you want to read the articles there directly, you're always going to have to go back to Substack. So consider joining Substack. There's a lot of great Palestinian accounts on there as well. So you'll benefit from learning and listening to them as well. Thanks, everybody.